Okay, well, that's 9 o'clock, so I think we will just start. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to our new assessor, Darryl. I think this will be your first meeting since your appointment, so looking forward to working with you. And excuse me, I also believe we've got Councillor Welsh. I'm not sure if he's here this morning. He's a new appointee to the board. He is replacing, Councillor Welsh, yep, are you in? And replacing Bailey Williamson, who has moved on. So with that, Willie, who's leading us through the agenda this morning?
Yeah, it'll be myself, thanks, convener. Yeah, so just firstly, I'd just like to remind the joint board that these proceedings are being recorded, the recording of which will be placed on the website of the Valuation Board for public viewing. I will now take a roll call for the minute, and I would ask if members would confirm they are present when I call their name. Deputy Lord Provost Cardell.
Present.
Bailey Roberts.
Morning, I'm here.
Thank you. Councillor Short.
Morning, here.
Councillor Scullen. I'll mark Councillor Scullen is absent at this moment in time. Councillor Shears. Councillor Shears. Okay, I'll mark them absent also at this moment in time. Bailey McPherson.
Good morning, present.
Okay. Councillor Cowdy. Councillor Cowdy. You'll mark them as absent also at this moment in time. Councillor Durnell.
Present, thank you.
Councillor Duff.
Yes, good morning, present.
Councillor Shepherd.
Present.
And I see that Councillor Cowdy, you've now joined the meeting. Yes, thank you very much.
Sorry, I'm late.
Okay, not all. I'll mark you as present.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor McCall.
I'm here. Good morning.
Thank you. Councillor Welch. Okay, Councillor Welch. Okay, I'll mark him as absent. Councillor Anderson. I'll mark him as absent. Councillor Smith.
Good morning, I'm present.
And Councillor Cuthbert.
Good morning, yes, I'm here.
Thank you very much. That concludes the roll call. The next item is apologies and substitutions. And I don't have any apologies substitutions for this morning's meeting. You then got declarations of interest. It's whether or not any members have any declarations to make to the content of the agenda as it stands. Okay, and there being no declarations, it takes you on to item 3, which is the minute of the previous meeting of 26th of August, which is submitted for approval.
Okay, can these be approved? Thank you. Willie, please.
Okay, thank you very much. It then takes you on to item 4, membership from Perth and Kinross Council. And as intimated earlier, Councillor Jack Welsh has been appointed as a member of the Valuation Board as replacement for Bailey Mike Williamson. This is for noting. Item 5 then before his internal audit report, which is submitted for approval.
Okay, I think Darryl, if you could introduce this for us, please.
Sorry, can I just make a note for the record, please? I've just had a quick look at the distribution list for this meeting, and I noticed that Councillor Williamson is still on the distribution list, but Councillor Jack Welch has not been included. So I don't know if anybody's actually sent him the meeting invite. I'll check with him, but I just thought for the record that should be noted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Could you look into that for us, Willie, please?
Yes, I will indeed. Thanks very much.
Thank you. So thank you for that, Councillor McCall. Back to Darryl.
Yeah, good morning all. So this report sets out the annual audit plan for this year, or internal audit plan rather. The report notes the service areas that are intended for internal audit this year, which are noted at 5.2 of the report, and those consist of council tax, maintenance of accuracy of the electoral register, cyber security, and follow-up reviews. I'm not sure if we have Steve McNaught on the call from Henderson Logie, but I'm happy to take any questions on the report if members have any.
Thank you for that, Darryl. Does anyone have any questions on this report for Darryl? I don't see anyone. So with that then, is that report approved? Thank you. Over to you again, please, Willie.
Okay, thank you very much. Convener, takes you on to item 6, financial reports. There's a suite there before you. The external auditor's report is for noting. The response to the external auditor's report is for you agree the proposals, and finally the annual accounts are there for noting.
Okay. Would anyone like to introduce these reports for us?
Hi, Convener, it's Richard from Audit Scotland. I've just got a couple of things to say about the annual audit report and then have to open up for members' questions. So in your papers today, you've got two papers from ourselves. You've got the annual audit report itself, and then you've got the cover letter. So the key thing in the cover letter, which is at pages 19 to 28 of your papers, is this confirms at paragraph 1 that we're issuing a clean audit opinion on the Valbo's 23-24 accounts. And you'll see there's a copy of the audit certificate confirming this Appendix A of that letter. Another point to draw to members' attention is at paragraph 5 of the cover letter. It covers there that there were actually 3 errors identified during the audit which haven't been adjusted in the audit accounts. However, as we explain in the letter, as the value of these unadjusted errors is below our materiality level, it hasn't impacted on our opinion in any way in the accounts. And details of these errors are set out Appendix 2 of our annual audit report, which I'll come on to shortly. The only other part that I'm required to mention of our cover letter is at paragraph 7. You'll see that it details the type of issues that we'd expect members to make us aware of if anything's arisen during the audit that we've not already been told about. So I would encourage members, if there is anything that you think you need to tell us about, then to tell us now before we sign the accounts. But I wouldn't anticipate there'd be anything for an audit of this nature. Moving on then to our annual audit report itself, that's at pages 29 to 54 of your papers. And I'll just briefly talk for the key messages and then happy to open up to questions. Points 1 and 2, as I say, that just covers our opinion on the accounts. So that confirms that we've provided a clean audit opinion on the financial statements, and also our opinions on the remuneration report, management commentary and annual governance statement, also unmodified. The next section covers our wider scope audit work. So this is required of public sector auditors in Scotland, and this requires us to comment on areas like financial management, financial sustainability, and the arrangement the joint board has in place to secure best value. So you'll see here at point 3 that we note that we're content there's appropriate budget monitoring and reporting arrangements in place during 23-24, but we also note there that the Val board reported a net overspend of 88,000 for the year. That then leads into point 4, which is something that's happened during 24-25, which is it's been agreed that there'll be additional contributions from the 3 constituent councils to the Val board during the year, which will enable you to get your uncommitted general reserve balance up to the minimum level set out in the Val board's reserve strategy. So this is welcome because we had highlighted last year that actually the reserves level was already below the reserve strategy target level by the 31st of March 2023, and further general reserves were used during 23-24. So that's, as I say, that's welcomed that the reserve levels will be restored during 24-25, and that'll make sure that the Val board has sufficient funds to respond to any unexpected events. Point 5 relates to a few policies that are overdue a review. So it's the standing orders, financial regs and whistleblowing policy, which are all overdue the date they were due to be reviewed. So we'd expect them to be reviewed during 24-25 to ensure they reflect the current requirements and business practices in place. And we've discussed that with management and got agreement that will be done. Point 6 of the key messages then confirms that again we're content that the Val board has appropriate arrangements in place to secure best value. And then the final point of the key messages is just talking about performance during the year, and it's just drawing attention to the fact that the additional requirements around council tax bandings during this year for self-catering accommodation has impacted on the processing times of the Val board. So we expect that to mainly be a one-off issue in 23-24 and expect those processing times to improve again during 24-25. It might be that Darragh wants to come in on that. The key messages was only part of the report I was going to go into in detail. The only other section that I'm required to draw to your attention is Exhibit 3, which sets out the significant findings from the audit. I'm pleased to say there's only one issue that we're required to report there this year, and that was an error that's already been corrected in the audited accounts. So we're asked to make sure that members are content with the resolution of any issues we're drawing to your attention, but given that has been corrected in the audited accounts, I would assume members are content with that. And then, sorry, I said there was going to be the last part, but one other part. Appendix 1 of the report on page 49, that sets out the action plan from this year's audit. So there's 3 recommendations for improvement that have come out of this year's audit, and it details the agreed actions and the timescales to address each of these there, and it also includes an update on the progress against the recommendations we made as part of our 22-23 audit. So those are the parts I'm just going to go to in detail, convener, but I'm also got Mark Johnson, who's the senior auditor for the audit with me today, so happy to pick up any questions members have on the audit process.
Thank you for that, Richard. Well, I see Bailey McPherson, you have a question, so I bring you in now.
Thanks, convener. Could I first of all, like yourself, welcome Darryl to his post. I do remember Darryl from many an IRRV conference that I used to run prior to retirement from the real job, if you like, and very much welcome his appointment and wish him well in his new role. My question really is more for Darryl than for Richard, but it touches on something that Richard mentioned in his summary there, and that's the issue around the whistleblowing policy. And I realise this has dragged on a little bit of time, and I note that there's an agreed date of 31st January 2025 for that being completed. I was just really wondering, I presume that will then be communicated to staff, but also will it be reported to the Valuation Joint Board? I presume the revised policy will come back to us.
Yep, happy to come in there. I think some of the work had actually been done on it. It's just circumstances that it's kind of fallen through the cracks with the amount of changes that have been going on. So it gives me an opportunity to review it myself, and the intention would be to bring that forward to the January meeting of the board.
That's much appreciated. Thanks indeed.
And just a point for clarification in relation to what Richard had said when he invited me in on the self-catering point. That is actually an ongoing issue now. There's now an annual audit of self-catering units, so perhaps the impact might not be so severe as we go through the initial audit process and get the churn of those subjects which fail to meet the new criteria. So it should be less onerous going forward, but it certainly will be an ongoing annual audit. So just a point for clarification there.
Okay, thank you for that, Darryl. I see no further questions on that item, so is that noted? Thank you. Willie, back to you, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Convener, takes you on to 6B, the response to the external auditor's report on the audit, and your asked to read proposals. So report by the Treasurer.
Thank you. I think Paul Thompson may be addressing this for us, Paul.
Hi, everybody. I'm covering for Paul this morning. I'm happy to talk to this too. This report, basically, it's our response to the auditor's report. I think it's fairly self-explanatory. A few comments to note, which is basically that the external auditor's report is favourable, and that we will be signing the accounts and returning to the auditor. So Matthew Ross, my colleague, is the one who prepared the report and is here today if anybody's got any questions on this report.
Okay, thank you, Francois. Does anyone have any questions for Francois? Give it a little second. Okay, I don't see any questions on that. So is that agreed? Thank you. Back to you again, please, Willie.
Yep, thanks very much. The remaining financial report items, the annual accounts, which are there for noting approval accordingly.
Okay, does anyone have any points they wish to raise on that? Okay, with that then, are those noted? Thank you. Back to you again, please, Willie.
Okay, thank you very much, Convener. Item 7 then, before we the revenue monitoring for 6 months to 30th September. This is for noting, and again, Francois de Villiers is here in place of Paul to speak to this item.
Okay, I'll let Francois come in. Or if Francois, you're on mute, I think.
Sorry, everybody. I was just apologising that I received the papers just before the meeting this morning. So I was wondering if it would be okay if my colleague Matthew Ross speaks to this report.
course. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, this report covers the revenue position for the 6 months to 30th of September. Currently, the Valuation Board is showing an underspend of 44,000, or projected underspend, sorry, for year end of 44,000. That's largely benefited by the staff cost to be projected under budget. We also received additional funding from Levelling Up to help us with all the election costs that we incurred, and that has improved the reserve position for the electrical registration fund as well. If there's any questions, I'll happily take them.
Thank you. Billy McPherson, you have a question.
Yeah, my question's around the staff costs in paragraph 4. Indicates an underspend of about 83,000, which, given the relative small size of the Valuation Joint Board establishment, is note. We obviously note. I was just really wondering if the current level of vacancies, plus the fact that some staff are working reduced hours, is having any impact on performance, and it also is there an intention to fill the vacancies that are referred to in paragraph 4?
In terms of the underspend, a lot of the underspend does relate to sort of the movement, the change in assessor through the year. As obviously Donald was acting up, so that still created a post which created an underspend. In terms of the how that's impacted performance of the Valuation Board, Darragh might be better placed to comment on how the staffing levels are impacting that.
Yeah, happy to come in there. Obviously, it's been a busy couple of months getting my feet underneath the desk, and Matthew and I have been in discussions with regards to the forthcoming budget for the year ahead. So this is all part of my considerations under active consideration at the moment. So yeah, we're carrying a number of posts, but we also have quite an ambitious slippage target, so they kind of go hand in hand. So we're having a look at that at the moment, and probably be in a much better position to update you in January on that one.
Okay, that's grand. Thanks.
Thank you. Is it Councillor McCall looking to come in?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really just wanted to ask in paragraph 4 around the negative, I suppose, effect between supplies and services and the additional income from the Department of Levelling Up Housing and Communities. I'm just wondering, of the 50,000 under supplies and services, how much of that was associated with the election? And was it fully offset by the income that we received?
Yes, any additional costs that were incurred in supplies and services or in staffing have been offset by income from the Levelling Up fund. That's we actually had a surplus of money that's been added to the general reserve to aid us with the sort of budget for next year going forward for any costs associated with that.
Yeah, I just think that for the purpose of presentation, I think it would have been better to divide out supplies and services so that we could see exactly whether or not the income offset the additional costs. At the moment, it's not clear, because I'm assuming that the 50,000 includes other things, or is that solely in relation to the election?
No, there are other things included. In
under
terms
supplies
of
and services.
Yeah, in terms of for supplies and services, in terms of the additional income you're seeing further down, that was netted off. So the 31,000 additional income, the 31,000 is of that 50,000, 31,000 that related to the Department of Levelling Up funding.
Yeah, what's not clear though is how much of the 50,000 was associated with it. Yeah, I just wanted to be clear that we got enough income to offset the specific cost related to the election. And that's not clear in the way it's presented.
Additional income, we could definitely find a way to present that better in January to demonstrate that.
Okay, that'd be helpful. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that question and the clarity there, Matthew. So I see no other questions on that. So is that report noted? Thank you. Back to you then, please, Willie.
Okay, thank you very much, Convener. That takes you on to item 8, the programme of meetings for 2025. As we're aware, there's been discussions from time to time on whether or not to continue remote or in hybrid, and if hybrid, from which date, and also where that venue would be. The proposed dates for 2025 are there before you, and I welcome a decision of the joint board on hybrid or remote.
Well, it's a very good question there, William. Still waiting on some feedback from Tayside Contracts. Actually, we had a discussion around this with Councillor Cuthbert and Councillor Durno. So I see Councillor Cuthbert wishes to come in.
Thank you, Convener. Yeah, I mean, it was discussed at Tayside Contracts. My view is that the hybrid meeting should move with the convenership, and therefore it would be with Dundee at the moment. But Dundee have indicated that they don't want to be doing hybrid meetings at this point. So I think the current proposal with Tayside Contracts is it should be from June next year. I think that's when Angus takes over the convenership, and it would start with the meetings in Angus. There is a little bit of lack of clarity on exactly whether that's feasible and whether Dundee might be willing to actually hold the meetings. That's basically the summary.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cuthbert. Councillor Durno, you were looking to come in also.
Yeah, we did also take into consideration the weather for the factors that a lot of the people on the board do stay in quite remote areas, and it would probably be better if we're going to start something new to look at when the spring comes in, when the weather starts to get slightly better.
Okay, thank you. Bailey Roberts, so you had your hand up. Are you still looking to come in?
I need to go remote. I really do need remote.
Yep, that's understandable, and I think that might be certainly the feeling of a few councillors. Bailey McPherson.
I was just going to concur with Councillor Roberts. I'm of the view that whilst hybrid for local authority meetings may make a lot of sense, for joint boards, and for example, I'm on the Tay Bridge joint board where we've had one member from as far away as Montrose and somebody from Central Fife. And I think there's a lot of merit, frankly, in the case of joint arrangements between various local authorities. It just, to my mind, makes a whole lot of sense in terms of, frankly, the planet in terms of travel, and it just makes a whole lot of sense that we actually continue with a remote arrangement, to be honest.
Thank you, Bailey McPherson. And Councillor Cowdy.
Thank you. Yeah, I would just concur with the last two speakers. I've been in a few hybrid meetings where actually it's a little bit more difficult than if it was just entirely remote, in terms of everyone kind of being on a level playing field, contributing. You know, you see people sitting at a table miles away when you're on the camera, or vice versa. So I can't see any reason why we couldn't just carry on in a completely remote fashion. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'm of a similar mind, I have to say. Before I let Councillor McCall and Councillor Cuthbert back in, I'm similarly minded that I feel this works, and particularly on days if it's not a very lengthy agenda, cutting out that travel, as Bailey McPherson referenced. So, Councillor McCall.
Hi. So my view is that if people don't want to attend in person, then that's the purpose of a hybrid meeting. I chair one of our IGB subcommittees as a hybrid meeting. It works perfectly well. And I do think, and a lot of members on this board are also on Tayside Contracts, which is a much more substantive meeting. So the length of this meeting shouldn't really make that much of a difference, because usually they're held in the same place. But I do think there's a lot of synergy being lost between us as board members, and also with the officers from the Tayside Valuation service. And so, if people don't want to turn up in person, that's fine. But at least creating people given the choice to members of this board, I cannot for the life of me see why there's so many objections. I honestly can. And the technology is there, we should be using it. And if it makes sense to turn up in person, then so be it.
Okay.
Given that most of us are on Tayside Contracts as well, and certainly whatever about this board, there certainly is a lot of synergy lost, I believe, in the interpersonal contact between people. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Duff.
Yeah, thanks, Convener. Yes, I would agree entirely with Councillor McCall. The elephant in the room is Tayside Contracts, which is a much more substantial agenda. And I think a lot of an organisation, a lot of us have quite a lot of interest in, and I would agree entirely. I think if people want to attend remotely, that's up to them. But I think if the two meetings are side by side, then there's a lot of efficiency, I think, in meeting in a central place and a meeting in person. So yeah, I would support that.
Okay, Councillor Cuthbert.
Thank you, convener. Yeah, I'm with Sheila McCall on this one. I run a committee from a high school, and the meetings are hybrid, and some people attend in person, some people attend remotely. I think one thing I would add is that if Tayside contracts are going hybrid, it might be quite difficult for people who are wanting to attend in person to connect to do a sort of an online meeting prior to doing the hybrid meeting, because they won't necessarily have access to the internet in the establishment that they're at. So if we go to Angus, we may find it difficult to connect and therefore find it difficult to attend these meetings if they're also not hybrid. So that's my comment.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Short, she's looking to come in.
Yeah, it was just a suggestion, convener. I know that Dundee have said that this isn't possible at the moment, but just to throw it in there, Leisure and Culture and the RPC, they have that set up as a remote room where meetings could be held. It's quite central for everybody to get to, just off the Forfar Road. Coming down the Kingsway, and I just wondered if that was something perhaps that you could get Willie to explore with the folk back in Dundee to see if that would be an option. So instead of using the council offices, have a look at the Leisure and Culture and see if there's an opportunity to explore that, and then it might help with the various dialogue. Otherwise, I would say it sounds like it's maybe a need for a vote, which might be something that could be done as a motion for the next committee. I'll just leave that with you there.
No, thank you, Councillor Short, for that, because obviously there does seem to be a little bit of a difference of opinion. So what I was going to suggest is the 27th of January, bearing in mind the comments from Councillor Durno as well about the winter, that I think the 27th should remain online, and maybe Mr. Worrell could be tasked at looking at what various options could be, because obviously, as we referenced, Councillor Cuthbert referenced the fact that Dundee has said they could not do hybrid. So that is what I'm going to suggest, and I think we should put it on the agenda for the 27th to come to a more settled position once we have a bit more information. And I suppose that the point that Councillor McCall made is very valid. Whether it's hybrid or fully online, those who wish to travel will travel, and those, you know, you still have the option of being online. So do we have an agreement on that way forward? Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say? So Mr. Waddell, could we have a look at what options might be for Dundee hosting hybrid, if at all possible, and if not, what the further options would be, and if we could have this on the agenda for the 27th?
Yes, certainly. I appreciate what you're saying there, convener, and I'll arrange that accordingly. And in terms of the programme of meetings for 2025, I note that we're happy with that programme as at this moment in time, as laid out at 9 AM, and certainly I'll have an item on the agenda for the 27th of January going forward as to the options and the proposals this morning. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So item 8 is agreed. Thank you, Mr. Waddell.
Okay, thank you very much, convener. The remaining item is date of next meeting, and as indicated, it would be the 27th of January at 9 AM, and at this moment in time, that meeting would be remote.
Excellent. So is that noted? Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for your time this morning and your contributions. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joe.
Yep.